back to the Paranormal Classroom, where we take attendance for the unexplained. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Lindsay, and we're two teacher moms talking about stuff that freaks us out.
It's toasty and nice in here.
So I don't really have an intro question for... Well, I guess I do. It's kind of dark,
Do you want to do what's haunting you? Or...
Oh, yeah.
And then...
I'm just excited.
Okay. I'm glad you're excited.
Yes. What's haunting you?
I had the most mortifying day today.
Okay. That's a lot. I mean, you and I have had some mortifying days.
It's horrible, Lindsay.
Oh,
I came home from work.
Mortifying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I came home from work and I found a giant hole in my dress right under
Stop it.
my boob. It was, yeah. And
how big are we talking?
Like,
whoa.
Maybe like this big. Yeah.
That's like a small, well, it's like a chicken nugget size hole.
Yes, I had a chicken nugget size hole in my dress. Here's the thing. Luckily,
and you work with adults now.
Well, thank goodness I work with adults and not children.
See, I would rather it be children.
No, because that would be inappropriate. But I'm also...
Well, I'm assuming you had underwear on.
I did, but everybody saw it. And like... I love my coworkers. I absolutely love them, but I'm really disappointed.
No one said anything?
No one said anything. And I know people were looking because I caught people looking, but I never look down because I'm like, I'm not going to like draw attention to my stomach or my, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I'm a bigger woman. So I just am used to it and I just keep going. But no, I got home and there was a huge
hole.
And nobody told me,
oh,
girls, you need to help a sister
out.
Yeah,
that's a real letdown in the sisterhood.
Yeah, and it's all women that I work with, right? Because they're all teachers. Like somebody should have been like,
"Why,
hey, Amanda, as a friend?" Because they hate me, I guess. I don't know.
No, there's no way. That's like maybe they just don't feel like they know you well enough. But what better way to break the ice with someone than save their life by saying, "Hey, you got a chicken nugget sized hole under your boob."
Yeah, and your under boob.
Oh man,
I know it's worse.
And also, how does that happen?
I don't know. I get cheap clothes from Shein, so I'm.
Well, there you go. You had it coming. You're getting child labor clothes, then you deserve a chicken nugget hole.
I guess. I'm trying really hard to like, because this is a new job for me, and it's like a step up. I feel like I'm really trying to like step up my presentation of myself, my wardrobe game, and I just cannot. I never feel like I have it together. Every day I go to work and I feel like, oh my gosh.
That's why I love my job, because the trick is to be a specialist of some kind. Maybe not the librarian, because I feel like they still gotta look profesh. But I'm fine if they don't. And maybe the music teacher. But even then, you can relax.
Yeah.
PE, STEAM.
Yeah, you can.
Like, we're expected to get smelly, dirty, guacala, as we say in Spanish. So yeah, I'm wearing whatever I want to wear. T-shirts and jeans most days.
Yep. And I used to do that, but now I'm trying to do better.
I
just can't. And every day I'm like, man, it's just not good enough. And now today really, really was like a bat to the knee.
That's truly the most mortifying thing that's ever happened to you.
No. It's probably been worse.
Because I got you beat like 1,000 times.
Do you want to share?
No, I do not. No, well, a real quick one is that I did in high school. I think it was the end of my junior year. They had this huge outdoor cement staircase, essentially, going down into the gym cafetorium or whatever it is. And the whole school was going for an assembly in the gym. And I was carrying my backpack and I was wearing a skirt, like one of these overall type skirts, but it was flowy. And I tripped and fell down several stairs and my skirt totally came up over my butt. Everybody saw my underwear. And I could have just picked myself up, dusted myself off, and kept going and been beat red and just made it to my seat. That's not how I roll. So, of course, I jump up, Molly Shannon style in SNL, hands in the air like a gymnastics move, and go, I'm okay!
Of course you did.
I had to make it worse. I always make it worse. Still, as an adult, every time I'm trying to make an awkward situation less awkward, I make it 10 times worse. I have no concept.
I think it's actually one of your more redeeming qualities, that you're just
Well, it makes
so
other
funny.
people feel normal.
Yeah.
If I can make things, if I'm the weirdo in the room, then everybody else knows it's not them. So I guess you're welcome. So yeah. All right. Well, what's haunting me? I had a couple yucky days with a couple classes. Yesterday with a second grade class, today with a third grade class, and I'm just wrestling with, was I too hard on them, or should I be that hard on them more often, and so that I wouldn't have to, you know what I mean?
So they know your expectations.
Yeah, like I was today especially, so frustrated. There is a chronic issue, and I'm not the only teacher who feels this way, because we talk about stuff collegiately, and we are noticing like a shorter and shorter perseverance ability. So like 6 seconds, and they've done studies, like 6 seconds is the average American child's attention span.
Oh, wow.
And we see it and we feel it, and it is painful. So yeah, that I was up against that today with just trying to get them to copy something from an email address,
right,
from the board, from the TV, onto their iPad, and it took half the class between 10 and 35 minutes to type my email address, which is just my first initial, my last name, which is 6 letters, and at blah blah blah.org. That's it.
What stumped them? The at symbol? Are they not familiar with that?
2 L's in the school district name. A B instead of a D. Putting an I instead of an L for my first name. Like, not spelling my last name. But there's no excuse. It's right there. I understand if you get it wrong once, twice, even 3 times. But first of all, don't tell me it won't let me. Because it's not a sentient being out to get you. It's an iPad, and if you do it correctly, it will work for you. I promise. So I hear that all the time. And then, yeah, just the same kids making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And I'm like, this, guys, is the definition of insanity. We don't have time to go into that right now. But you are literally making the same error 15 times. I gave up my lunch period because they had to turn in an assignment this way, and I'm just like, it can't be this hard. And so then I was just stubborn about it. Like, there wasn't any other way for them to turn it in anyway. But it was also just like, truly, how long can this go? Well, 35 minutes for some kids. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. 25 minutes after class was done, I still had 6 kids in my classroom, 9-year-olds, who should be able to read and at least copy things down, but some don't have letter recognition.
Yeah, maybe they can't.
So it was wild. But, oh, God. Let your kids be bored. Let them be bored. Quit putting stuff in their hands like devices all the time. Let them be bored. It's amazing how creative they'll get and how they'll read and talk and get cardboard out and start building things.
Right.
Yeah, it's awesome. And get along better with their siblings because they'll be forced to play together. Anyways, so that's bugging me. I don't know. So,
yeah.
Alrighty. Well, tomorrow's a new day. Clean slate. Start over. To get into it. Have you ever known anybody personally who has disappeared?
Oh, I actually have, but I can't talk about it because it's work related.
Whoa. Okay. Well, don't. Yeah, obviously.
Like, now I'm fixated on that, and I can't think of another one. So no, I guess not. Okay. I've seen come across my Facebook pictures of like people, friends of friends, posting. Please look out for this kid.
Yes.
I've definitely seen that, but not. No.
It's kind of the modern day milk carton is the Facebook post.
Right.
So I only know of one, and I didn't know her very well, but she was friends with my sister. They're the same age. And she disappeared, I want to say, when they were about 17. And they ended up finding her remains.
Oh, no. That's so sad.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
So don't know if she was a runaway or if she got involved with some people who were nefarious or if she was kidnapped or what. Nobody really seemed to. And I never found that out. I'm sure somebody knows something, but it wasn't me.
Wow.
Yeah. And she was
really
the sweetest, nicest, like shy little thing. But
that's horrible.
Something went wrong.
Did you know that our president, Teddy Roosevelt, he got lost? He just disappeared during his term of being president. He was like really he's my husband's favorite president because he was crazy, like in hilarious
He was very
ways. Adventurous. He went hunting and hiking and outdoorsy. He's the one who like put together all our national parks and things. But he just one day is like, I gotta get out of here. And he somehow his team of people who are responsible for keeping an eye on the president lost him. He was like, I'm gonna go out, and then he like disappeared in the woods.
Did they not have like what they have now, like Secret Service wise?
I think they did, but I think they still lost him. You know,
he got him off his tail.
He got him off his tail. He's like, I just gotta be in the woods for a few days, and he disappeared. They lost track of him, and he came back a few days later, but he just had his own little walkabout.
Good for him. I bet they all need to do that. Maybe they should all disappear every once in a while.
He's also the president who said, "You're not a man until you've killed somebody." So he's got a lot. He's a very fascinating person.
I take issue with that part, Mr. Roosevelt.
I do too.
But did you ever see? Do you know the Bear Grylls show? Like,
oh yeah,
Into the Wild or
that just popped up on my Netflix.
Bear Grylls versus Wild. I don't know what it's called, but I know the guy's name is Bear Grylls. The one with Obama, President Obama.
No, he was on the show?
Fantastic. Yes. It was after his presidency. But he talks about how he didn't have a cell phone during his presidency, which the times have changed.
Right.
But, and so he didn't really know how to use one until afterward.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
It is wild. I would think that he would have had a cell phone.
No, because it's like got tracking and different things, and
they
didn't want him to, but somebody has changed the rules. Well, yeah, so that's kind of just to get you started thinking about this. We're going to be talking a little bit about missing kids, but then there's also a twist to the missing kid thing. So here we go. What happens when justice fails? When a grieving mother's worst nightmare becomes a national scandal? And when an unrelated but gruesome crime spree weaves itself into the story of one missing boy.
Okay.
Yeah. So today we're going to dive into the haunting case of Walter Collins. He was a 9-year-old boy who vanished from Los Angeles in 1928.
Well, I'm already sad.
Yeah.
But in 1928, that was a very different time, right? I mean,
sure, you had 13 kids because you knew you were going to lose 6 of them.
And I'm thinking about also like Annie. I just went to see the production of Annie, and like they had orphanages, they had kids on the street, they had newsies. Yeah, so kids were kind of fending for themselves a little more.
Not only did you have to sell papers, but you had to sing and dance
for a penny.
Yeah, it isn't a happy story.
Okay.
Fair warning. His disappearance became a sensationalized mystery, made even more horrific by its potential connection to a series of crimes that we'll get into more later.
Okay.
This case exposes corruption, desperation, and the terrifying reality that sometimes the truth is even stranger than fiction.
Okay. Wait, is this solved or unsolved?
I would say it's like questionably solved.
You can make me put that question in the parking lot, and we can come back to it.
Put it in the parking lot. Here's your sticky note. All right, so let's go back to March 10th, 1928.
Okay.
It was a typical day in Los Angeles. So smoggy, swelteringly hot, loud, and gross. I lived there for a year. I think it's fair for me to say that. Walter's mother, Christine Collins, gave him a dime to go see a movie.
A dime for a movie?
9-year-old. Here's a dime, sonny. Go see that flick that you've been wanting to see.
You got a spider coming
down. Inside?
I don't know if it's inside or outside, but don't worry. He's not too close to you. He might have just been on the outside.
Sorry, everybody. Just a spider, but
Did you see it, though?
I saw it at the very end.
Turn on the big boy. I think he's outside.
He's mofo?
We would see him if he were inside. Because he was big.
Squishing into that space between my window and door frame. I just about climbed in your lap. Did you see that?
It was a
Cat-like
big spider
reflexes.
just like a few inches away from me.
Don't like it when I respect spiders. They do a good thing, but I do not want them on me.
You have to go back because I was distracted by that thing
You
floating
think?
down by your face.
Good Lord, jeez almighty. Sorry, everybody. Okay, we're going to back up a little bit. Oh, God.
Do you need a Girl Scout cookie? And then we can...
No, I've already had 4. Okay. Alrighty.
Go back a little bit.
Okay,
So
yeah.
she gave him
So
a
she
dime?
gives him a dime to go see that flick he wants to see.
Uh-huh.
And in the days and weeks that followed, his disappearance sparked a massive search. So he just went and he never came home.
Well, so I would never let my 9-year-old go to a movie by themselves, and maybe it's because this was the first. This was the event that set off all of us being afraid to let our kids out.
That didn't really seem to start to happen until like the 80s, when like the white van stuff started happening.
Okay.
So witnesses claim to have seen little Walter Collins in various places. That happens all the time. Anytime that somebody goes missing, they're like, "Oh, I saw him here, and I saw him here," like states away. I saw them doing this.
Yeah, but people aren't reliable.
They just want to be a part of something.
Mm-hmm.
And some people desperately want to help or genuinely want to help, but it's false. Witness testimony is flawed. But no solid leads ever materialized. His mother, desperate and determined, she never gave up hope. Then, 5 months later, there was a breakthrough, or so it seemed. A boy in Illinois, so we're in California, Walter's in California. A boy in Illinois, 5 months later, claimed to be Walter Collins.
Whoa.
The police, under intense pressure to solve the case, quickly arranged for his return to Los Angeles. Christine was, of course, overwhelmed with relief until she saw him.
Oh my gosh.
The boy standing before her wasn't Walter.
So they sent some kid didn't they have a photo? Did they have a photo to confirm? Before they flew him or
I don't think they cared.
Across the country?
I think they were like, this kid says he's him. Why would a kid do that if it's not
Okay, but
real?
You gotta check that. Think about it because of what's happening now.
Let me back up and that part where I said this is about corruption.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
This is part of that. So it gets worse for poor Christine. But yeah, that's exactly what I thought you would say is, well, how did the police act when she said, "Yo, this ain't my kid"?
Yes.
Here's how they reacted. Instead of admitting they made a mistake, the LAPD insisted she was wrong. You're crazy.
That is the ultimate gaslighting. If there has ever been gaslighting, that's crazy.
Can you imagine? So they encouraged her to, quote, try him out.
What the heck is wrong with these men?
I know. As if he were a replacement, not a missing child. I give this one a go.
How old is this kid? Is he 9.5, 10 now?
The boy,
the right age?
Yeah.
Well, was he like a 17-year-old?
I think he was the same age, between 9 and 11.
Wow.
Yeah. So Christine, determined to prove the truth, brought dental records and even spoke to Walter's teachers and friends.
Mom.
They all confirmed this boy was not Walter Collins. But the police refused to admit their mistake. Instead, they accused Christine of suffering from hysteria and committed her to the LA County Hospital psychiatric ward.
This is crazy. This is my worst nightmare.
It's gonna start happening.
This is horrible for the kid too. We can't, I don't know the kid's story. I don't know what he's playing at, but to be taken across the country and then have this woman who doesn't want him, I don't know what his play is, but horrible for the kid too.
Yeah. She was silenced, institutionalized, and labeled insane.
Does she have a husband?
No. It's her and this boy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, yeah, all because she just dared to question the authorities about her own child that came out of her vajayjay.
Wow.
Her womb. And she's like, that is not I just saw him 5 months ago. That's not my kid. I know my child from a sea of kids wearing the same uniform out on a baseball field, all at practice, 35, 40 of them. My eyes immediately go to him every single time. And he's not purple. He's not 18 feet tall or 3 feet tall. He looks like the rest, but my mama instincts know his gait, the way he carries, everything about him. Whoop, my attention goes right to him every single time.
Right.
I would just want to punch people if I were her.
Maybe she did, and maybe that's what
landed
to her
her in
case
there.
of
Yeah, you're just crazy, lady. But you and I talk about that all the time. That people will often treat women who advocate for themselves, stand up for themselves, try to right wrongs, that you are crazy, stupid, or a bitch.
Yeah, and this is literally my worst fear. I'm so glad that I'm born in now times, because it's my greatest fear watching all the like old movies and learning about history, just that women could just be put away in these mental institutions just for being a little bit cranky, or just for like questioning authority, like you said. Or there's so many times in my life when I have to stand up for myself, and it would be a whole different life. You would be censoring that constantly, staying sweet, keeping smiling, putting up with all kinds of like abuse of your boundaries, and even worse, just so you wouldn't be
tormented,
sent away.
Yeah. And there's, the whole Handmaid's Tale thing, and how we're sort of on a slippery slope toward those days. It's not, it was a warning, not an instruction manual. And it seems like a lot of people in power are using it as an instruction manual, as well as other books like 1984 and Animal Farm and things like that. But it's like, guys, these were not meant for you to copy the stories within. They are meant to serve as a warning against letting this happen. So hopefully we never go back to this, but I don't know.
This poor woman, though.
I know. I can't even imagine. Yeah, and she even got all the community members were like agreed with her, and it still was not enough. Probably because all the other teachers were women too. So
yep.
Yeah. So who was this kid? You asked that, like, I don't know what this kid's story is. Well, the boy finally admitted that he wasn't Walter. Surprise!
Do we let her out of the mental institution now?
Eventually. His real name was Arthur Hutchins, and he was a runaway from Iowa who had taken advantage of the situation to get a free ride to California. I kind of love that for Arthur.
9-year-old, 10-year-old brain.
Get me out of Iowa. Yep, I'm him. Walter Collins? Sounds good. Let me get to California.
Let's go. I want to see the ocean.
Yes. I kind of like the tenacity. So the police had spent months forcing a grieving mother to accept a lie, all because they wanted to close the case. Not the first time, won't be the last.
I think in today's age you could sue.
She does.
Oh, okay.
She does later. I can't remember. It's been a while since I wrote this, so I can't remember if it was successful or not, but she does sue the police department.
Good.
Walter Collins was still missing, and while Christine fought for her freedom, another horrifying story was unraveling in Wineville, a small town in Riverside County in California.
Okay.
Enter Gordon Stewart Northcott, a name that would soon become infamous. He and his mother, Sarah Louise Northcott, ran a chicken farm that concealed something far more sinister. In 1928, authorities began investigating Northcott for kidnapping and abuse, and what they discovered was horrifying. The bodies of multiple boys.
Oh.
Yep. Some as young as Walter were found on the property. Northcott had lured and murdered victims in what became known as the Wineville Chicken Coop Murders.
Ew.
Yeah.
Why?
And you know what's crazier is what I don't have in these notes, but I know from my research, is that the father of this man knew that his kid was nutso and left. He was like, this son of ours is bonkers. I'm out of here. I'm not going to stick around to see what finds out. He left. So the family left the farm, and he was like, I am not, nope, lady, you are on your own if you want to stand by this kid. So he took off. Rather than like, I don't know what you could have done, but maybe throw that guy in an asylum.
Uh-huh.
No, he's a man. We can't do that.
Oh, no. So how old was the Gordon guy?
He was in his 30s, I believe.
And he was the murderer.
He was not old.
And then his mom, who's, I'm guessing
she
was
in
her
accomplice.
50s, was the accomplice.
Yeah, she knew.
As well as the chickens.
Well, they weren't talking. They sure weren't talking. But maybe they were, and we just didn't understand. But so at the same time that the public was gripped by a growing panic over child abductions, like you said.
Yep.
In media coverage of both Walter Collins' disappearance and the Wineville case, people were on edge. And it's also LA. So sensationalism in the headlines blurred the line between fact and speculation, feeding into nationwide paranoia. So here's where things get a little more heartbreaking is that we don't know for sure, but they suspect that Walter was one of Northcott's victims.
Yeah, and they can't like do the same kind of DNA testing that they would do today, right? Like
no. So while Northcott confessed to killing several boys, including one he initially claimed was Walter Collins, he later recanted. I love it when they do that crazy-ish. They say, yeah, it was me, I did it, confess everything. And then you go to hold them accountable to it and they recant. Never mind. Nope, I didn't mean it.
I always find that weird when they're like interviewed. So they catch a killer, they're interviewing them. They're like, "Did you kill this person? Did you kill this person?" Like, why do we assume that a killer is even going to remember? What if they never even ask the people's name? What if they don't remember their faces because they're in some like altered state of consciousness? I don't know what it's like to be a killer, so I don't know what their state of mind is, and I just think it's weird that they ask them these kind of questions, and then you wouldn't expect them to tell the truth necessarily because they're already like something's wrong with them.
Or tell the truth one way or the other. Like there's been a lot of people who've admitted to things that they never did.
That's true too.
Because they're sick and they want the attention, which is bonkers, but yeah, it happens. So, the police found remains belonging to other victims, but Walter's body was never recovered. Okay. So Christine Collins never accepted the fact that her son was dead. She spent the rest of her life searching for him, even after Northcott was convicted and executed in 1930.
I think every mom would do that. I think until you have your actual proof, you're going to hold out hope.
I've heard different things from moms. I feel like some moms, and I think it ties into kind of spiritual connection too, some moms have said, like, I know she's dead. I know he's dead. And others are like, no, I know they're still alive. I know they're out there somewhere. And it's hard to know if it's just that wish or do they really have a spiritual connection that they just haven't felt is severed yet.
Right.
I don't know. I don't ever want to know.
I don't ever want to know.
Oh, golly. As Northcott's trial played out, so we know he was executed, but as his trial played out, Christine took her fight to the courts, suing the LAPD.
Good.
Yep, for their gross misconduct. In 1931, here it is, that's right, she won a lawsuit against Captain J.J. Jones, the officer who had forced her into the psychiatric ward, but he never fully paid the damages. Christine's struggle for justice exposed the LAPD's corruption, but it couldn't bring her son back, of course. The town of Wineville was so traumatized by the crimes that it actually changed its name to Miraloma. It's no longer called Wineville.
I don't know that town. Do you know it?
I've heard of it, but I've never been there.
What's Miraloma mean? Mirror or lake? What's
Mira means like look. So it's Loma. I don't even know what Loma means, but there's a lot of like, I feel like Loma Linda. Loma. Oh, let me ask Siri. ¿Qué quiere decir Loma en español?
Loma.
Right, but what does it mean? oh, starting to tell me.
Oh, I have my phone right here.
See, who's gonna get it first? Oh, it's a hill.
Look, hill.
Yeah,
look, hill.
Or overlook. Let's see, maybe it's like an overlook. Mira Loma, like an overlook. You know how you can go to like a place where a lookout, like where you could a vista. Right, where you can pull over on the side of a highway or whatever and take pictures of a pretty view.
Okay.
Maybe it's like that. Not to be confused with loca, which means something very different.
Loca means crazy, right?
Yeah. Okie dokie. Let's get back into it.
They just changed the name of their town.
Yes. It's
I'm totally with you.
Miraloma now. Because they wanted to erase its connection to the murders, which I don't really blame them. But if every town did that, geez. Yeah. The map would be changing every 12 hours.
Detroit?
Detroit's on its 176th name. Oh, gosh. So, there are people who still believe that Walter could have survived. That he could still be alive. That he wasn't one of the Wineville.
He could have. They didn't find any evidence.
Yeah, so there's some theories. Some believe Walter might have been kidnapped by someone else entirely, while others think he could have escaped Northcott but was too traumatized to return home. With no definitive evidence proving his death, the question of what really happened to Walter Collins remains unanswered to this day. And this isn't the only time a missing child missing child case. Let me back up. Delete, try again. This isn't the only time a missing child case took a bizarre turn with an imposter. I love an imposter story. I think they're so funny. That little dude, Arthur, I just want to get to California. And he's hacking papers on the corner, and he sees that this kid's gone missing. Aha! Here's my chance.
And seize the day.
Oh gosh. Okay. There's a guy named Frédéric Baudin, the chameleon. He was a French con artist who spent years, this is hysterical to me. He was a man, full-grown man, who spent years impersonating missing children, most famously deceiving a Texas family.
Wait. What does this man look like?
So, apparently pretty childlike. He must have something where he's allergic to his own hair follicles and not growing a beard, because I don't understand. But he deceived a Texas family in 1997.
Oh no, that's really recent. I gotta see it. If it's 97, there's gonna be a picture of him, right?
He had them believing he was their missing son, Nicholas Barclay.
Oh. Why? For why? Is there like a reward involved?
They're con artists. They just want.
What does he get out of it?
Attention, I guess, or the thrill of the con, which I guess is, we're not murderers. We're also not con artists. So, although being a teacher sometimes feels like being a con artist.
Okay, hang on. What was his name again?
The real missing kid was Nicholas Barclay, and the imposter was Frédéric Baudin, which is Bourdin.
Oh, there's a picture of him.
Let's see him.
There is no way that anyone would think this was a child.
I can't wait to see
There
it.
is no
The chameleon.
way. Hang on. I opened
Maybe
it
he had
and it's long.
He was really good with, what's that stuff called?
Stage makeup?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Filters?
Yeah, he was awesome on Snapchat.
Make it bigger, but look at him. He's got wrinkles on his forehead. He's a grown
He's got a
man.
receding hairline that doesn't quit. That's not a child.
There's no way.
What? I don't know, man.
Wow.
And then there was the case of Bobby Dunbar in 1912. He was a young boy who disappeared in Louisiana, and a child found months later was given to the Dunbar family. Where they found that child, I don't know, but they're like, here's another child. And DNA testing decades later revealed he wasn't actually Bobby. So who was that guy? Who was that kid? And where's his family?
I don't, there's so many questions.
Right?
I have almost more questions about these impersonators than I do the missing kid.
The psychology of it. I agree. That's kind of what got me spinning on this, was like, who does that? And why do they do that? But they all come from these mysterious vibes. And the weird part is then they just sort of nope, wasn't that kid. Boop, disappear off the media. No one is like you and me where we're like, well, wait, bring that guy back. We've got some questions.
I feel that way about 90% of the media stories, right?
Sure.
They'll tell us something sensational.
I'm like, that's not the part I wanted.
I know, and then you never hear about it again. I'm like, I need to know what happened.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Where's the consequence? Where's the I need to know, and it never comes back around in the news cycle.
Well, maybe you'll solve some of these.
Maybe.
The Timothy Pitson hoax of 2019, not very long ago. A man falsely claimed to be Timothy Pitson, a missing Illinois boy, only for DNA testing to expose the lie. So obviously, when he was a man, years later, I was that boy. Now here I am.
Yeah. So they go on Maury Povich or whatever show is.
It's me.
Your DNA results.
Yes, he is not your father. So what's the longest missing child found alive? This just happened fairly recently. A boy abducted from California in 1951 at age 6 was found alive on the East Coast more than 70 years later.
Whoa.
Luis Armando Albino was 6 years old in 1951 when he was abducted while playing at an Oakland, California park. Yeah. So that's pretty wild. And then here's a picture of him meeting up with family afterward.
So he was just kidnapped and raised by
someone who...
This is not that any of this is good, but the best case scenario, I think, in a kidnapping is that someone's going to raise you in their own.
Yeah.
Without anything else going on, right? Because there's so many other horrible things that could happen. Yeah.
Not selling you to the highest bidder.
Right. I'm not saying that this is
Right,
acceptable. It's not acceptable.
There isn't like a, well, you can do it as long as you treat that child like it's the king or queen of your world.
Okay, wait. One of my favorite movies is called Raising Arizona. With
I love that movie.
Nicolas Cage and I think Holly Hunter. And the premise is this couple, Nicolas Cage, who's a blast. They want a baby so bad, and they find out about this like super wealthy family that had 6 tuplets. So they had 6 babies.
Jeez.
So they're like, well, they're not going to miss one. We're just going to take
a litter of puppies.
They're like, we're going to help them out. So they go and they kidnap one, and they love it. They love on it, right? It was a really funny comedy.
I don't remember. I remember seeing it, and I remember I liked it, but I don't remember anything about it. It would be like it was brand new to watch it again. Maybe I should. Let's see here. Oh, so this is interesting. From May 20th to June 24th of this last year, was it this last year? I think it was. There was this organization called Operation We Will Find You 2. And it was 2 as in the digit 2, because it was the second of its kind, which is a nationwide missing child operation. Mm-hmm. And it focused on geographical areas with high clusters of critically missing children. Children who go missing may be in serious danger, could be vulnerable to child sex trafficking or abuse or exploitation or other crimes against children. So with technical assistance from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the Operation We Will Find You 2 resulted in the recovery and removal of 123 children from dangerous situations.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. An additional 77 missing children were located and found to be in safe locations, according to law enforcement or child welfare agencies. Of the 200 children found, 173 were endangered runaways, 25 were considered otherwise missing, 1 was a family abduction, and 1 was a non-family abduction.
Oh, yeah. Most abductions are family abductions, I've heard. Yeah.
Yep. The youngest child recovered was 5 months old. 14 of the children were found outside the city where they went missing. Only 14 of them. So 186 of them were found within the city they were taken from.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 57% were recovered within 7 days of this organization.
Is this organization private or is it government?
I don't know. I should know. I'm sorry. I don't. I think it's private. Like maybe it's like, I think I remember seeing it's like retired or volunteer like cops and investigators. And
cool for them. Well, good for them. That's awesome. You know what it makes me think of though on the flip side is like we had these facilities where we were putting people who had crossed the border and didn't have, registration. We were like sending them back, but the kids got separated. Remember this? The cages and the kids got separated. Mm-hmm. But we lost children. Mm-hmm. Like somebody was not keeping track, and I don't know where. And I think about it all the time. Mm-hmm. Where did they go? Are they in like the foster care system? Were they sent over the border without their parents? Were they like, where did they go?
And nobody really cares.
There were like a ton of them, and then some of them were found, but there's still like 150 that are unaccounted for.
It's inexcusable.
It's insane.
It's inhumane. It's inexcusable. So, before we wrap up though, it's worth mentioning that this story inspired a 2008 film, Clint Eastwood film.
Oh, I love Clint Eastwood. Yeah.
Starring Angelina Jolie as Christine Collins. And the movie is called Changeling.
What?
Yeah. And there's also other versions of it.
That's super paranormal, right? Because the Changeling story, isn't that the story of fairies who kidnap kids and replace them with a changeling who looks like your child but isn't? Have you heard of this? Like
sort of.
Maybe I'll do that for a future podcast.
Yeah, do it, please. But this one was not paranormal. It was kind of horror suspense, but not paranormal.
But there's paranormal stories about changelings. Okay. I'll lock it away as a future possible.
Okay. Some artistic liberties were taken for sure, but it was based loosely, if not more so, based on this story, and it kept attention on a case that still pretty unsolved. Very unsolved.
That's too bad.
Yeah. So
I hope all the kids are found. I really do.
Yeah, me too. And I suspect personally, I suspect that Walter Collins probably was one of those victims. It just, the distance, the time of it, the everything going on, the age that he was, it just seems like, yeah, he's probably on that chicken farm somewhere. Maybe we just didn't find him, or his remains got mixed up with somebody else's, and they didn't have the technology to decipher. But maybe not. Maybe he lived a full life elsewhere for some reason. But how different things would have been if they had just listened to the mom, to Christine Collins.
Yeah.
They wasted so much time.
They wasted her life.
Right.
Locking her up like
but
that.
Just say, she's crazy. Here, take this kid instead. Give it a go.
But that kid came out on top.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Disneyland wasn't around yet, but he was there to see it when it was.
Well, when he got there and they sent her away, who took care of him, or was he just on his own? Because this is the 20s, right? So he's probably out on the streets on his own.
I guess I'll just take my satchel and go. My little satchel on a stick. Yeah, that's a good point. I doubt they put him on a train back to Iowa. They're like, well, kid,
good luck.
Sorry this didn't work out, but this is on you. You said you were him. You little turkey. Now you gotta pay the piper. And by piper, I mean the mean streets of LA.
Oh
Who
my
knows?
gosh.
Who knows? Hopefully he turned out all right, but clearly he had his own issues. But I might do the same thing if I was stuck in Iowa back in 1928.
Iowa wasn't bad, was it? Wasn't Iowa? There's so
Wasn't
many
that the Dust
wholesome
Bowl?
musicals from Iowa. Oh, it would have been the Dust Bowl at that time.
Yeah, no thanks. I think.
We don't know enough about.
Shh, you hush your mouth. Let's find out. Was Iowa? A, when was the Dust Bowl? And I've read books about this. I should know. Kristen Hanna has a great Dust Bowl historical fiction. When was the Dust Bowl? But I can never remember titles. I'm lucky I remember that the author's name is Kristen Hanna.
Yeah, I have a hard time remembering.
1930 to 1936.
Yeah, it was after. So this
he
was
anticipated the Dust Bowl, and he was like, I got to get out of here before the Dust Bowl.
Maybe.
Just kidding.
But no, I'm thinking it's really wholesome because there's all those musicals that take place in like the Midwest that are super to make it seem like a real wholesome kind of town.
In Iowa?
I think so.
Well, sure. I mean, I know some good people from Iowa.
When was like carousel made?
A lot of
carousel.
Oh,
this
carousel.
was a real nice clam bake, right? And they're all singing
Isn't
about
that
their
the
clam
one
bake.
where is that spider again? He's on the outside. Are we getting swarmed? Is this
This is
arachnophobia?
a different. That's a different one.
Listen, if they're all coming after me, dang it, you spider.
That's a different shape. You got spiders dropping on your car.
Probably because we have a pest control guy that prevents them from coming in the house.
So they're all swarming.
So they're like,
your
get
car
her
outside. Carousel. I'm looking at it.
Isn't that a movie where there's a girl who gets sexually assaulted?
She gets beat up and she still falls in love with.
She gets raped.
Possibly. This is 1956.
Yeah.
But was it set in 1956? Oh no, the movie was 56. The musical was 45. But I think it's set in. Yeah, based on a 1909 play.
And the Dust Bowl did hit Iowa.
The Dust Bowl.
In the 1930s. All the Great Plains states. It's not a good time. That's what sparked the Soil Conservation Act, thank goodness. Let's remember this, people. We need things like that to protect our lands. Yeah, wakala.
I'm sorry, I'm looking up musicals in Iowa in 1920. Okay, so the Music Man. There's so many good ones.
I'm not saying Iowa's a bad place. I'm just saying it's not for me. It's a lot of cornfields and hay and flat. I like my mountains. I like my waters. You know.
Yeah.
I'm a Washingtonian, Pacific Northwest gal.
Me too. All day, every day.
I could maybe do the East Coast.
It was so stormy the other day and like gray clouds, and I was like, this is so pretty.
Yeah. I don't mind it. I don't want it to persist for weeks on end. I do know the payoff. We get what we get here in greenery and lush nature because of My dog has been looking out the window at us
the whole time.
The whole time.
It's really cute.
He's my little white shadow. I just love him. We're parked in my driveway tonight, by the way, not our typical dance studio parking lot.
Right.
But
do you have any homework for the scholars today?
Well, shoot, if you get curious about these people these imposters who pretend to be other people's missing children or whatever, we'd love more background information on them, because I did not dive into that. You always ask the questions for the research I did not do.
It's okay.
Which is good.
I'm sorry I do that.
Which is good, but it challenges me in a way that I am not prepared for.
Yeah,
and I apologize.
Yeah, so scholars, look up some of those imposters and share some more info about them, because we're curious.
It makes me think of like where they're, because we were, people were pretty ignorant with like people with differences. So I'm wondering if like were there little people who.
Oh, have you seen the documentary on Natalia Grace?
No.
Okay, I watch too much TV, clearly, and movies and documentaries, but the one
I watch a lot too. It's
Natalia Grace is the story of this family that adopted a little girl. I think I'm not sure.
I think I have heard of this.
But she had some kind of developmental disability where her body was smaller.
But she was really a lot older than they thought.
They're not, and you watch the documentary, and I swear I cannot tell who's telling the truth and who's not. I don't know if this was a little girl that they abandoned at like 7 years old. They bought her own apartment because they were having issues with her, and they're like, they thought she was a grown woman. They were convinced like this is a grown woman who's playing us. So they bought her an apartment and put her in an apartment. But she might have been a 7-year-old that they just put in an apartment. An actual 7-year-old, because it's just so hard to tell.
I need to watch
body.
it.
She has no family history. She has no real birth certificate. I mean, it's.
But there was obviously some things that made them think, like.
Yes.
Like, what was she doing? Like, trying to balance their budgets or speak 14 languages?
They claim that she was acting like an adult, like she had mature conversations away from them, and
she was smoking
mature
and going on dates.
That they claim that, but they could have been very mistaken.
Well, there's all these people who adopt, not all these people, I say that so flippantly. There are too many cases, in my opinion, of people who adopt children and then it's like not the perfect baby or child, and so they like abandon it. Like this family who got all of this social media acclaim for adopting this kiddo. Like they had their own children and they adopted like their 7th child was adopted from somewhere else, another country, I believe. Well, come to find out, this kiddo's got pretty severe needs with autism and like high needs autism spectrum disorders, and they gave him back. Oh, wow. They gave him up. Like, I wouldn't do that to one of my dogs. Like, I mean, I know it's a different scenario, but totally different. Like, if you get a child, if that were your child by birth, I would hope you wouldn't abandon them because they have special needs. Now, I know some people probably do.
I hope you wouldn't, but I've heard that you can just bring a child to the police station and.
Yes, well, we have new laws because people were like leaving their childs in dumpsters or leaving, if they couldn't, like, if maybe they have mental health issues themselves or their child themselves or desperation, right? People do desperate things, and so now they have this new laws where they actually will have, I think hospitals have these special like heated bin things, like a repository, like at a library.
Yeah, the hospital's the right spot because then they can take care of it.
Yeah, or fire departments or different things. But yeah, there's laws that say you can do this and face no recourse for it. It's not abandonment if you take these certain. So that's we talked last week about how I'm doing something different. Well, we're just keep doing different things. This was more kind of true crime-esque, but the part about the imposters and the mystery of him not, who knows where he is, who knows what happened, and then just that phenomenon of treating a mother like she's insane.
Yeah, that's wild.
When like she wouldn't know her own child.
So we can say we're mostly a paranormal podcast, but we do dip our toes in.
Well, we say it in the intro.
Unsolved.
We talk about stuff that freaks us out.
Yeah, it freaks us out. That freaks me out. Yeah.
For sure. Well, okay. You have your homework, and that's all I got.
Okay. Then class dismissed.
And don't open the door.